Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Dr. Barbara Minton. Barbara is a trailblazing psychologist, musician, and neuroscientist whose innovative work bridges the powerful intersection of music, neuroscience, and emotional healing. As a driving force behind the album Calm the Storm, Barbara has dedicated her career to harnessing the therapeutic power of music, drawing on both the rigorous scientific expertise and profound personal devotion. In addition, she leads workshops and clinical sessions that empower people to use music intentionally for emotional repair and stress reduction. So, welcome to the podcast, Barbara.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be there, or here
Yeah,
actually.
wherever we're at
Wherever
today,
we
right?
are. You're there and I'm here. It works.
And you know what? That's the great thing about these because we can talk with people all over the world and get some great insights. And I'm just really thrilled to have this conversation with you because I really think music does evoke a lot of emotions in people. And I would love to hear how you are harnessing that and like connecting that with emotional healing and neuroscience because I'm kind of a geek in this thing. And then I was just like, oh, I love neuroscience. And I just
One of
do that.
those, huh?
So, yes, I am. I just love to
Oh
learn.
man.
So can you start the conversation by just sharing a little more about your personal journey and how it has led to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I'm a musician from way back. And I got away from it for many years while I did psychology and raised a child and all kind of life stuff. And then as I started to get into neuroscience, I started to circle back around into music because I was asked to write a chapter for a book about how music affects the brain. And when I started to read the research on this, I was just stunned. I mean, absolutely stunned at the power of music
Hmm.
and that all this information was hiding in academic journals. So little of it was out in the real world being used. Therapists didn't know about it. Medical people didn't know about it, and just us, people, didn't
Yeah,
know about it. And yet, music is so easily accessible and it's so cheap.
yeah,
And it has such a profound effect on us if we use it right. It can also have bad effects on us, right? We can listen to music that's bad for us.
yeah.
So I really got kind of a passion about, man, we got to get this out in the world. It should be a part of every intervention we do, and it should be a way we can help ourselves too without even a therapist or a
Yeah,
medical doctor or anyone
yeah,
else.
yeah.
So I got really interested in that. And then as I read these journal articles, they were just using kind of mostly music researchers chose. So it ranged from like Beethoven or Mozart to Enya or some harpist playing the harp. And I was like, wow, I mean, it's cool they're actually getting effects with this music, but
Hmm.
wouldn't it be interesting because I know how the brain takes in frequencies and
Hmm.
how it tries to pattern itself after the musical information that comes in. So I asked myself, like, well, would it be possible to actually compose music to move the brain in the direction that we want it to go? So the music itself would be much more curated and specific to what we wanted to do for our own healing, our own calming, our own thriving. And I was so fortunate to be able to work with Peppino D'Agostino, who's my partner on this Calm the Storm album, because this guy is incredible. I mean, he's a world class. He's one of the 50 transcendent guitarists of all time. So he's just
Wow.
like, I mean, the guy. If you guys ever get a chance to go to one of his
Yeah,
concerts,
yeah,
you should go. He
yeah.
is amazing. And so he worked with me on this album and he brought compositions that he had, and then we revised them in order to meet all these specifications that I brought in from the EEG.
Hmm.
And then I took the recordings and played them pre and post to 10 people, so I 10 case studies, and I imaged their brains before and after listening to the song with the EEG. And I mean, I cannot tell you how I felt when I saw the changes in these people's brains and this thing actually worked. It was just overwhelming.
Oh, my God.
And since then, the album came out a few months ago, and we've gotten comments from people, which is
Hmm.
we can talk a little bit about if you want, but that's really how the whole thing unfolded. And it's one of these funny things where the threads of your life start to come together sometimes
Yep,
in
yep.
these really unexpected ways. Like if you would have asked me 3 years ago, and you said like, what do you think you'll be doing in 3 years? This would not have been on the table. I never would have thought I would be doing what I'm doing, living where I'm living, any of that stuff. So this has really been a personal transformation, a personal and professional
Mhm.
transformation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so interesting. And I'm just like, I don't know where to start because I'm like geeking out about this because I'm like, oh, I've heard, years back, like sometimes music, you have these CDs and stuff that, oh, you can kind of calm and go to sleep, or get you in the deep. I'm like, now I'm even thinking the alpha ranges or like the
Yeah.
delta,
Yeah.
all of those different ways to be able to get your brain waves to like slow down and go to sleep and it's like wow, but to be able to change that, not just for sleep, but for other things. So, what in your case studies, like when you're doing that, like what were you trying to evoke? I guess, what states did you see in that and what was the transformation?
Yeah, well, if people want to, you can go to the website musicandhealing.net and go where it says new album. And if you scroll down to the bottom, I've actually posted some of the pre and post imaging. So it's
Okay.
really cool.
Oh, cool,
And I'm like,
cool.
"Hey, this is how their brain changed when they listened to this particular song."
Yeah.
But I want to go back
Yeah.
just a little bit to what you said about insomnia. So, if you go on Spotify and hit relaxing music,
Mhm.
it'll play music that it thinks is relaxing. And we know certain types of tempos help relax people, help with
Mhm.
insomnia, all that kind of stuff. But it actually is more complicated than that. Like, I don't know if you've ever, or anyone who's listening to this, if you've ever listened to relaxing music, your brain is like
Mhm.
revved up, you're thinking, you're ruminating, like you're having the same thoughts over and over, and you play relaxing music, what happens? Usually nothing. If anything, it might be irritating. If it's
There are some things that are irritating to me when they say, this is relaxing music, and I'm like, no, it's not.
no,
Like,
this is not. Um, and so what the state of your brain is interacting with the music. And that's why people say like the music does this. I'm like, no, actually the music doesn't do this.
mhm.
The music is interacting with your brain to create an outcome. And this is really the essence of personalized medicine, right? Like
Yep.
music is not something that does something to you. You and the music do something together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we've had one of my in a previous I did a previous album with another guitarist, and one of the really interesting things is we had some songs on there that were supposed to be really enlivening, and we had several people tell us, "Oh man, that song really relaxed me." Now these are songs with electric guitar, fast beats, all kinds of stuff going on, and they're like, and I said, "Wow, that's super interesting."
Hmm.
And so I went back and pulled out some of the data of those people, and it turned out that those were people that whose brains were super, super wired. So when you play something that's engaging, it knocks your brain out of that, kind of state where you're just kind of zooming around in your own thoughts. It
Yeah.
gives your brain something to do. And so that it actually was more relaxing to them. And the tempo of that song, however fast it was slower than where their brain was.
Oh, yeah.
And I started thinking, maybe this is analogous to like people who are like, I know I shouldn't be on my phone, but I have to be on my phone, or I have to watch TV in order to go to sleep. It's because you need that input in order to bring your brain down the next step,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
don't, I think recognizing this is important.
Hmm.
And if you start to, if you start to think about, the one reason I love music is because it's super easy, right? We can play it on our phones, we can
Yep.
listen to it any time of day, it doesn't cost a lot of money. But what we sometimes forget to do is access how it's affecting our body. So if you play something and you start to say like, how is this making me feel inside? Is this pushing me in the direction I want
Hmm.
to go? Then you can just begin to be a good user of music for your own optimization.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
we are all different. I
we're
mean,
different.
and
I
so
mean,
what I'm hearing
we're
is
not.
like your brain, like certain people's brains can take one, music and it could relax them, but the next person it could just hype them up.
Yeah, and we have some commonalities, like we know over most people, But this is the problem with studies. When you do a study on something, you get an average, and it tells you over most people it does this, but it doesn't tell you about you,
Right, right,
right?
right,
And so you are the one that knows about you and about the best, what your reaction is, and about the best path forward for you.
right.
And, I've had people where they listen to music they like,
Hmm.
and it's actually bad for them. Actually, I can give you an example of that. So this morning, so I play pipe organ. Okay, it's a weird
Okay.
instrument to play, but I love that instrument.
Yeah.
And I play pipe organ, and I'm kind of okay on the guitar. But so I'm playing pipe organ, and I'm playing this very loud song. It's actually this song off of Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's very
Yeah.
dramatic.
Yeah.
And after a while, I noticed like I'm starting to feel really like amped and edgy and activated. And I think like maybe it's time to change channels here, right? Like play something a little more soothing. And because I noticed that and I was hooked into my body, and I was like, if this goes on, this is not going to be good for me. Um, but most of us don't do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't think about it that way. So, I had a client who loved rap music. I actually like a lot of rap music too. And I said, well, but he had anxiety. And I said, well, let's map your brain before and after a rap song. Well, of course, his brain, the anxiety networks were amplified
Hmm.
after the rap music. And
Yeah.
so I said, we might think about choosing some other songs. And he was like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We don't think about that with
No,
music.
we don't. And what I'm like thinking in my head right now is like, this relates so well. Like, well, you talked about music as medicine, like, and there's medicine that affects me totally different than it affects somebody else. And if
Right.
we don't know ourselves, if we don't, we're the expert of us. So, like you're the expert of you. So, what is best for me? You have to like take a step back and go, oh, I wonder how this is affecting me. Well, the same
Mhm.
way with food. Like, you can eat all of this stuff and you're like, oh, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't, caffeine doesn't affect me. Well, and then you like kind of experiment with it a little bit and like tune in a little bit. Oh, well, maybe it does. Maybe
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't.
I
So,
think taking a compassionate approach to yourself on this stuff, the caffeine thing is really interesting to me. Just to segue off of music for a
yeah.
minute, because I see a lot of anxious people using caffeine, and your therapist will tell you, or your friend will tell you, you need to quit using caffeine because it's a stimulant, it's making your anxiety worse. But here's why you have to have compassion for yourself,
Hmm.
is that when you're anxious, your whole system is flooded with all these chemicals that amp you up, but you're also incredibly fatigued
Yeah.
usually. You're
Yeah.
not sleeping well.
Hmm.
You get up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get through the day. I'm exhausted. I slept 4 hours last night. I have all these ruminating thoughts. And
Hmm.
so your system is wanting to wake itself up. And so you want to have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we want to be compassionate. Like we have to recognize like this is ourselves trying to cope. And
Hmm.
once we recognize that in a kind way, we can say to ourselves, how can I tweak this or how can I change this just a little bit?
Hmm.
Like, I want to respect this process that's going on and I want to slowly move out of it. I don't have to make myself more miserable in
Right.
order to move out of it. So
Right.
maybe we do a half calf,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
3/4 calf, or,
Or maybe
right.
try something else like music.
Yeah, you could do upbeat music, or you can say to yourself, wow, what could I do? Just what's a little thing I could do at night that would be more calming? And Calm the Storm it's this album is really a calming album. The tempos are slow. But the difference from this and a lot of other quotes relaxing music is it's very melodic, and it's very melodic on purpose. So one is we wanted an album that would stand alone as just pretty music to listen to,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to have insomnia or chronic pain or something. It's a beautiful album. And actually the first reviews we got of it were off of guitar magazines.
Mm.
And the editor of Guitar Player magazine just said this is gorgeous. Like Pepino's playing is so forgot the word he used. It's like so delicate and
Hmm.
gorgeous.
Hmm.
And then I'm actually holding chords on the pipe organ behind him, so you have these deep resonant sounds of the pipe organ
Uh-huh.
containing the warmth and intimacy of the guitar. And that combination, I get chills thinking about it,
Yes.
is really beautiful. And so we wanted something that would stand alone as music, not just a frequency coming into your head or white noise or something, which for
Mhm.
me at least gets tiring after a while, just listening to that.
Yeah.
Something you could listen to over and over. And then if you have a melody and your mind is ruminating, that melody will help just move your mind a little bit from those ruminating thoughts because your brain's going to want to go to the melody. And
Yeah.
the brain likes to anticipate where a melody is going to go. So it gives your brain stuff to do instead of what it's doing.
Trigger, you know?
Yeah,
It's like, hey, hey,
yeah.
like, take
And
a
that
look
was
at this.
one, I mean, that was one theory that
Hmm.
we kind of had starting off on this. And no, we've gotten some amazing comments. I have one person who's texted me twice and she's like, I play this for my dogs because it calms the dogs down. I'm like, good.
Oh, good
But
idea.
if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. If
Mhm.
it does work for you and you don't like that style of music, you can say to yourself, well, what's music that I do like that has similar
Mhm.
features to this and try that. So
Yeah.
you really want to become the kind of be in charge of your own healing and your
Hmm.
own well-being here. And using music is one way to do that.
Right,
And
right.
it's so easy, right? It's so
Oh,
cheap. I
yeah.
mean, it's just,
Yeah.
that's what I love about it.
And sometimes I feel like I get a little overwhelmed because there's so many choices of different styles of music to listen to. And then, where I'm at, we've got like two stations, like two or
Yeah,
three stations that come in really clearly. And then it's just like it's certain music. And so then it's like I get overwhelmed like trying to like go and search for new music. So this is just great for me to just like, here, try this, calm the
yeah.
storm, like try that. And so what do you suggest to people? Like, how do they go and find, different music? Obviously, go check out Calm the Storm, the album, but like, how do you decide? How do you help people decide like what music tempos and stuff are good? Or just like you said, checking out
Yeah.
yourself and seeing how that goes, but can you give the listeners a little
I
bit more?
that's a really complicated question. And
Yeah.
actually this workshop I'm doing in a
Hmm.
month or so will talk a lot about that. But it's a day long
I
workshop.
know, I
We don't
know.
have a day.
I'm like asking this really complex question here. Take
Yeah,
a day-long workshop and take it into 2 minutes.
I know, right? Yeah, you know what's so interesting about that question is it echoes a bigger issue, which is that we're inundated with so much information. We have to really control. I think if you want to do well in life, you have to really control the information you're exposed to. And I was at a meeting on Sunday night, and people were talking about listening to the news and how they were feeling anxious and having insomnia and all that. And there was a study done years and years ago before even the internet. So we've known this for a long time. When people read newspapers that were delivered to your house, and somebody did a study, and it said that people who read the newspapers and all the articles overestimated the negative things that were going to happen to them in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
And so controlling information that comes into us is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I'm going to say is a little odd what's happened to music is that now you don't follow an artist, right? So before we had the internet or we had playlists and you just had radio or you had records, you would follow an artist. So you
Hmm.
would follow the Beatles and you would have every Beatles record, or you would follow Carole King and you'd follow Joan Baez or,
Yeah.
Chet Atkins or whoever. Now we're like following songs. And if you think about the complexity we're like adding in by doing that, just
Hmm.
to our own cognitive, like we have limited cognitive bandwidth. I
Yes.
think this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I had somebody the other day tell me who's, gosh, probably in their mid 30s, and they were like, have you ever heard of this album Tapestry by Carole King? And I, of course, this is like a
Classic.
classic. I'm like, of course. And they found this idea of actually listening through an album to be really compelling of an artist because the brain didn't have to relearn
Mm.
all this kind of their general genre over and over. And I found this interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to try to answer your question, which I don't know the real answer to,
That's all right.
is I wonder about um, finding somebody you like and just don't worry that you might be missing something.
Yeah.
just immerse yourself in that music for a while. And you see this in the classical world all the time, like somebody will immerse themselves in Bach
Hmm. Yeah.
or Bizet or a
Mhm.
composer, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
about that as a solution. That's such a great question.
Yeah, but I think you're on the right track because we are super inundated with just information overload all the time. I mean, how quickly we can get information now than 20 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over the place. So I feel like our brains are just like super sensitive now to just everything. But then also we don't give it a chance to like calm down. Like because news stuff, advertisements, all of this stuff comes in like bites of, if we don't get it in 5 seconds, we're moving on, right? Like
Yeah.
we need to like, whew, we need chance to like calm down a little bit and re-engage with ourselves. And I feel like music would be a great way to do that and create some emotional healthy things going on, like get in touch with ourselves because we're just
Mhm.
so inundated with outside stuff. So,
Yeah, you know, I have a couple thoughts about that. One is a person that wrote to me and she said I'm playing the album over and over just through the whole day.
mhm,
And and the other day listened to it and I was like, man, these songs are slow. And I had this kind of urge to turn it off and I was just like, I'm just gonna wait a minute. And as I waited, I could feel like everything starting to come down.
yeah,
And I think if you find music like this, I mean, it doesn't have to be this album. It'd be great for us if it was.
yeah,
And you should email me and tell me your reaction, good or bad.
yeah.
But when you find that draws you back into yourself and who you really are, um, that is so, so important.
Mhm,
And drawing yourself back into yourself means also allowing those things in the external world to drift away
mhm.
and to not be hijacked by every little piece of information that comes through or doom scrolling or, you know, looking on Amazon and having 172 choices of some item you're looking at on there. And so you have to go through and vet all that. When you think of, you know, when you went to the store and you had two shirts to choose from, the cognitive load of that was so different
Yeah,
than getting on Amazon and having, I don't know, thousands.
no,
Like, do you really want to clog your life up with that? Like, in the end, are you going to be on your deathbed and go like, I should have looked at that 60-second shirt. You know, that was probably it. Like,
no.
yeah. So, you know, like, how do we, and these are easy choices we
Mhm.
can make, right? We
Yeah, yeah.
can expose ourselves to less of this kind of energetic suck is what it seems like to me, right?
Right.
It sucks out energy.
Yeah, it does suck out the energy of us because it's like, what if you just like could implant that in, I think in of elevator music, it's just like,
Yeah.
people is like, but it's like, it's there to evoke some sort of response and maybe a non-response because we don't
Mhm.
want to be hyped up. We need some of that stuff in the background just to remind us that we do need some calm. We do need some like time to breathe. And it's okay just to shut down for a minute.
Yes, and which is hard. I mean, now I want to make one caveat on that. If you're a mom and you got three kids, or you got complicated life situations, just to, um, you know, people will tell you, "Oh, just take time for yourself." You're like, really? Come on, like, and I hate that when people say that because it's so disrespectful of what people are going through.
Right.
But like then I ask at you, you know, you can ask yourself like, what can I add in? And one of the easiest things to add in is music. I
Yeah.
mean, your kids are going crazy. Throw nice music you
Yeah.
like or calming music on in the background. See what happens.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, these are simple things that don't take a lot of time. And you know, one reason we started with Calm the Storm, we're actually working on an album for PTSD
Oh, wonderful.
now, and that's going to be, I mean, we have a wider range of music. There's some
Yeah.
super intense stuff and some more mellow
Oh,
stuff
that's
and
interesting.
stuff in the
Yeah.
middle. And, but, you know, right now, between people have so many concerns right now: global warming, financial concerns, political concerns, medical concerns. There's a lot of, concerns about war. We're very amped up.
Mm-hmm.
As a whole culture, we're very
Right,
amped up.
right.
And so, it was just I think, just such a nice place to start. Like, this is our little tiny offering to
Yep.
however many people for whom it's useful,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
just sort of help take the edge off of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's the goal.
it is. It is. And I'm like, well, why not? Like even if you had a household of kids, I'm thinking at the daycares too. I mean, there's research out there where like Mozart and those things are so great for brains and the developing brains. Why can't we just have that playing in the background and just having that as that, just a little bit of something to get us to
Hmm.
tune back into ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it calms us, great. But
Yeah.
ah, yes, there's so much research out there. So where
And
can people
I
find out?
think
Go ahead.
being a good observer and noticing, like, not just putting the music on, but actually seeing, oh, what are the
Yes.
kids doing now? I
Yeah.
mean, I thought that was so cool when that woman wrote that to me about the dog, because
Yeah.
the dogs, I guess she has dogs, because she was actually observing. Most of us don't do that, or we're
Right.
just like, oh, okay, next song. But it's like, oh, this song evoked this behavior, and when I played that song, it did that. Then you start to be a great user.
Yes, yes. And that's being, in tuning with yourself and your environment and
Yeah,
just
totally.
paying attention, and not just like getting through the day or taking a moment, not just to survive, but just reflect just for a minute. Like, how is it
Yeah.
making me feel? Like, what are the kids doing? What are the dogs doing? How is it helping us,
Hmm.
just be better humans? Uh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. Where can people find out more about Calm the Storm? I think you mentioned it earlier, but please mention it again.
Yeah, so the website is musicandhealing.net, which is all spelled out musicandhealing.net, not .com,
Done
.net.
done it.
The net is on the end. And it's got the album and a little bit about me and Pepino and some of the research. And I started posting once a month on some stuff on music and the brain. So hopefully over time that will be helpful to people too.
Yes, yes, very much so. I know I took a peek at that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I'm gonna love our conversation, and I have. So
Good. Well, good.
and I'm just, I can't wait. I can't wait for that next album to come out. I as a mental health therapist, I worked with a number of clients with PTSD, and it's just finding another avenue for them to be able to do something on their own is just incredible. That's
Well, as you can guess, I could tell you many stories about
Mhm.
clients with PTSD because I've been a therapist over 40 years.
Mhm.
But one of the really interesting things I'll tell you, so I have had some of them listen to Calm the Storm, and I tell them, listen to it 3 times a day. Just close your eyes and listen and just see what happens. And
Mhm.
they've all had amazing, I mean, one of them started sleeping for the first time in 50
Wow.
years, and somebody with developmental trauma that, of course, happened at night.
Mhm.
And when you get a result like that, it just means everything. And the thing is, even if it takes the edge off just a little bit,
Mhm.
to me, it's worth it. Like, that was a more profound effect.
Mhm.
But if it just adds to something else you're doing, to me,
Mhm.
I think it's worth it. And
Oh
so
yeah.
we'll get this album, and hopefully I have ideas for other ones down the road. But we gotta make some money to support ourselves
Yes,
too.
yes, yes. And so getting this out
There's
into the
always that.
world. I know. What would we be if we didn't have to do that, right?
I know, right? Well, you wouldn't be in harvest time right now, and harvest time is wonderful and
Yeah,
exhausting.
love that. Life is wonderful. So thank you for joining me. As we wrap up today, is there anything else that you would like to leave the listeners with, a thought, quote, or just something that you haven't said yet that you feel is necessary for the listeners to hear?
I don't think so. I think we covered some pretty good ground today. So thank you for having me on. It's
Oh my
so fun
gosh.
to talk to you.
Yes, it's been so fun, Barb, to just chat with you and just this light up the world with some songs that can be calming and to kind of help everybody just tune into themselves just a little bit more. So I really, really appreciate you being on and just loved the conversation. So thank
Thank you.
you.